Hello, everybody, and I hope you're doing good this Saturday. So, October is here, and fall is here. Here in Oklahoma, we still have today with temperatures over 80, but the weather is supposed to get much colder. I mean, not much colder, but in a nice. Thank you, Judy. In a nice lower 70s area, which is absolutely perfect. So, what is new? I finally started being to do stuff. I mean, what I'm making comes up how I wanted to, what I wanted to make, because I figured out that actually I went through some funk in the last 2-3 weeks, something like that, because it was just too much stuff, piling on. And it's, on one hand, it was the new diagnostic for my eyes that I got, which, by the way, I want to challenge the doctor for it, because I do not agree with that diagnostic, because my symptoms are kind of the opposite than the symptoms of that diagnostic. And for the ones of you who don't know, I used to be a medical professional, only that when I first came to the US, there was no legal frame for alternative medicine, and still isn't really. So I have, it's true, 20 years of not practicing or anything, but I still remember some things, So yeah, it's not really. They diagnosed me with Fuchs dystrophia, which means that the cornea is made out of 3 layers, and in the Fuchs dystrophia, the layer inside starts deteriorating after a certain age, and it's a little bit iffy here because, hi Angela. Yeah, we are supposed to have some rain here too, I hope so. But getting back to what I was saying, people my age, and generally people over 50, when they are supposed to have cataract surgery, they are checked for Fuchs dystrophia too, because cataract surgery in people with Fuchs dystrophia is done in a different way. They have to put in a type of gel so that the cornea will not get damaged during the surgery. And the fact that I was not diagnosed before the cataract surgery is a little bit of medical neglect, But the other things are that generally in Fuchs dystrophia, you see the worst in the morning because your cornea gets swollen and with your eyes being closed. Hi, Lydia. Hi. And the humidity cannot evaporate from the eye. Or with me, it's exactly backwards. I see the best in the morning, and then as time goes by and my eyes get tired, towards the evening I don't see very good. With Fuchs dystrophia, you're not supposed to be able to see in low light and in darkness. I have a better eyesight in darkness than most people. I think might be connected to me having a higher range of colors perceived. But even in twilight, I can distinguish colors, So yeah, there are some things that don't really fit very well with that diagnostic. So when I'm going to see my eye surgeon on the 1st of November, I'm going to ask for a second opinion. And then for an investigation into why was I not diagnosed with Fuchs dystrophia before cataract surgery. So yeah, that was one. And then the other thing is my shoulder that's getting worse and worse. I mean, right now I can barely do this. And as long as I hold my arm along the side, it's okay. But the moment I try to lift it to the side or backwards, it's killing me. And I don't know, it's like there's a whole bunch of, because all my issues seem to be stemming from genetic disorders. So it's like, all the crap in my genes I was born with kind of starts catching up with me as I get older. So, and this was on top of me trying to get my house back to clean state, because I have this thing when stuff is not organized around me. I don't know. I probably will put these necklaces separately in the. I'm working on a reorganizing of the whole store. Hi, Kimba. I have this thing. If stuff is too disorganized around me, I cannot create. I cannot create in chaos. And with all these issues that I had, it was kind of difficult to keep, cleaning and organizing and everything. And honestly, if you can imagine that somebody can say this whole fatigue thing is getting me tired of it, because I'm tired of not being able to do something more than 10-15 minutes before having to lay down again. So yeah, I was in quite a bit of funk, and everything, even if at one point I was starting to catch up, then I got in the funk and everything I was trying to do was not coming up right. So finally, even if my shoulder still bothers me, I started, finally stuff's coming up as I wanted, as I was planning it to happen. So hopefully soon again. I always hope that I'll catch up. That's the bane of my existence. But I did get a couple things that eased a little bit my shoulder. I got some lidocaine cream, and then I found this really neat patch for the shoulder that has got some little gel beads that you can either put in the freezer or you can microwave for cold and hot, and they change color. When they get hot, they get white. Normal temperature, room temperature, they are blue, and when they get cold, they get purple. So they are really neat. I played with them in the microwave. I'm crazy. Anyway, so talking about other things, I have several things that I'm preparing for the whole Halloween thing, and hopefully I'll be able to put them this coming week, because they don't require much editing. They are pretty straightforward. And the other thing, and see how I started on one. Hi, Ellen. I started on one train of thought and I forgot what I was going to say. Hi, Tia Lisa. Yeah, it was about Halloween. Yes, I know. I scheduled actually for tomorrow. I'm going to either make it separate or leave it for the next Sunday, the survivor, breast cancer survivor and cancer survivor and cancer angel pendants, because I realized that with that sugar skull thing, and I'm going to be very honest with you, because last year I couldn't finish it in time before Halloween, and hi, Anna. There was no reason to put it up after that with the holidays, with the winter holidays coming. I've been trying real hard to get it done for this Halloween. But with everything that's been going on, it would take way too long for me to actually make a tutorial and edit it. And because you know very well, I'm not the kind that just puts a tutorial out without editing. I'd rather do a live. It's the same thing, you know. So I'm going to do putting together the sugar skull tomorrow, because we already have the elements. I'm going to warm them up a little bit, and we already have the elements from last year. And by the way, with this I'll be able to show you how to warm up old canes. And we shall put the sugar skulls together, and I promise you I'll be fully stocked with all kinds of pain reducers. I'll even put my shoulder patch for a while before the live, so I can be for a longer time. And if I will need rest and I'm not done, I'll rest and then I'll come back online later in the day. So, talking about that, if you do not know, if you missed the announcement, or if you're a newer follower of mine, I did start a Facebook group. It's called Days Playground. That is for all my subscribers, and I'm putting now the link in the live chat. So if you watch it later, check in the live chat. So if you have any issues that you've encountered with any of my tutorials, you can go in there. And I did the group, I made it in a little bit different than other groups. There are units, that I put all information, and they are, like clay, conditioning, baking, resin, high silver, paints, cracking techniques, and all kinds of stuff. So each unit is into smaller separate units, and with descriptions. I didn't finish them. I'm still populating the content, so that whenever you have a problem, you can go to that exact, look for the exact subject. I had a brain freeze. For the exact subject you're looking for, and then you can post your comment, your question, your whatever under that specific subject. I thought that is much better to do it that way, because when somebody has a question or a problem, they can go in that specific unit and see not only what I posted as information in the unit itself, but go through the comments with questions and see if I didn't, me or other members of the group, if somebody didn't already answer that question. The other thing that I did in the group, I activated the mentorship program. And in the mentorship program, you can, and I see that some people have applied to join the group. I will do that after I finish the live, because I cannot go back and forth like that. I will go in and I will approve you. The mentorship program, you can subscribe to be a mentor or a mentee. Actually, I didn't look. You might be able to subscribe for both. But anyway, you list there what are the subjects that you're good with, that you can mentor somebody else, and what are the subjects that you require a mentor in. And the mentorship is not within the group. It just takes you to private messaging, to the Facebook Messenger, and you can, hi, Zenta, sorry. Why did I say Zelda? I was reading Kelde and Zenta. Yeah, this necklace is part of one of my page tutorials at marbled necklaces. And I showed 3 different ways of doing it. One is, this is the simple one. And then one is with hues of blue and with 4 silver embellishments, and one is with yellow and green and with 4 bronze embellishments. And I showed the one with the 4 bronze, and everybody like, oh my god, we like that. Yeah, it's in that paid tutorial. So it is, I think I'm going, because it's so hard to go back and forth between, YouTube, the regular Facebook page, email, and all that. I think I'm going to focus mostly on the questions that people post in the group, because I got quite a bit of feedback and questions. I posted what are the techniques that you have the most issues with, or the things that you have the most issues with. And I said I'm going to answer them in the Q&A. Yeah, Anna is one of the members of my group, and she's a mentor in beading because she's such an absolutely awesome beader. If you didn't check her channel yet, go and check it because she's absolutely fabulous. So I have Mr. Whisper here who wants his tushy rubbed. He's got this thing, he doesn't like scratching, he just wants somebody to do like this with the hand over right above the base of his tail. But he saw me changing, and always when I change, he's not sure, am I leaving or not? Because it takes a while before the cold weather settles in, and he figures out that only if I put a coat on, then I'm leaving. Now anything that I'm changing in, he's like, oh my God, Mama's leaving. He's got separation anxiety. So I'm going to get to answering questions. And you're welcome, Anna. And if you have any other questions or anything, just post them in the chat for now. So, okay. The question was, what polymer clay technique do you have the most trouble with and why? And I already answered Susan, who asked, I struggle with getting a clean edge when I bake something and then apply a baking layer. I presume she talks about applying an extra layer of raw clay over baked clay. As I said before, it is way easier. I know that you see, and I've seen personally, a lot of tutorials where people keep, let me actually show you. People keep, I'll just take a small piece of clay. So people keep, they would put something on whatever, and then they start cleaning the edges, and you go, don't get me wrong, I used to do that, the same thing myself, just to get stuff perfectly nicely edged and all that. The problem is that you spend a lot of time with this, a lot of time, but if you do it, just decently, after you bake it, and especially after I got that sanding wand, after you bake it, it only takes a few swipes of sandpaper to make a beautiful, perfect edge on anything. So don't go for trying to waste time to do a perfect, because see, this one, remember when I did it in the live, I wasn't super careful, and everything that you can see, all this perfect edging, is done all with sanding. So don't waste time trying to do all kinds of perfect edges when you can do this just by sanding. Hi, Tina. Let's see, the next question. I'll pass the Alyssa's and Ellen's. Now, slicing canes. On the slicing canes, I did used to have a lot of issues myself. Most of the time because I couldn't. Hi, Susan, I just answered your question on the group. Especially because a lot of times it was because of the blade. But since I discovered those blades on Amazon, the Jili blades, Jili, that's how you can find them. And you can find them in my Amazon influencer store, and I also populated the UK influencer store, and I'm still working on the France and Italy and Germany and all that. It's I need to search more because they are different languages and things are named differently. I'll get to it in a minute, Yalisa. I went over your question because there's another question about canes, about reducing canes later, and I'm going to discuss them both. Right now, we are talking about slicing. So when I first found the Gilly blade on Amazon, I found the 8 inches one. And it took almost 6 weeks to get it. And I told Trish from PolyClay about it. And she went, that is the wonderful thing that relation that I have with Trish. A lot of times I would find things and then I will tell her, you know, hey, look, I found this. Can you find it? And she will scour the heaven and earth until she finds it. And she always tries to find it on a low enough wholesale price so that she can keep her price low enough for people. And when she found it, she found not only the 8-inch, but she also found this 4-inch one. And the 8-inch is super for shaving mica shift and mokumegane, but the 4-inch is absolutely fabulous in cutting canes. And let me grab a cane or something similar to a cane. And let's get this one and make it. And I'll show you my secret. So the first secret is the blade, okay? That is the major secret. Okay. So, let me try and get the, and give me just a second so I can focus it properly. Okay. So, number one, there are a few tips whenever you're slicing no, she's talking about something else, Tialisa. I'll get to that. Okay, so whenever you're talking about a round cane, when you're cutting, you're supposed to roll it. And by rolling it, you will not distort the cane. Now, when we are talking about square canes, you go on like this one time and then you turn it on the other side so that it wouldn't become squished. When you have a teardrop cane, you always cut it on one of the sides and you flip it after each cut. So you start from the top and you go towards the tip of the teardrop. So you will go like this and then turn it. Now I'm trying to cut by looking over the camera. Let me show you what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to go over, to look over the camera. Okay, so when you flip it over the other side, you go the other way. So depending on where the tip of the teardrop is. If your cane is a diamond shaped, again you'll have to cut it on one side. Never cut it like this. Always turn it on one side. And again, I will be cutting going like this. So I go like this, and then I flip it on the other side, and this time I go like this. Now, in order to be able to cut thin slices, what I do and why I can cut slices of canes that normally are fairly equal. First of all, as I said, blade is very, very, very important. And I think that Trish sells these together. I think it's like $5 or $6, something like that. I will put the link in a little bit. And this trick I learned it from Teresa Salgado, because she was like, when she was explaining it, I was like, nah, that's not possible. And then I tried, and guess what? It is possible. So when you put your blade on it, watch. Hold on, let me try and show it better. You put your blade on it and you watch only one side. Don't bother with the other one. Just watch one side. Of course, first you fix your blade to be, and going on a gridded tile makes things fast. So you look only here. You set it again, and you look only on one side. And your brain will take control of your hands, and everything will be even on both sides. See? And you can go even thinner than this. Now, be aware of the fact that if you're using a soft clay, you have less chances of being able to cut very thin slices. Now, let me take question from the chat this time. Zenta number 1, don't use Mod Podge. Mod Podge sucks big time. Mod Podge, even if it is cured, Mod Podge is very sensitive to humidity. Even if it is, okay, so 425. Even if it is cured, the moment you get in high humidity, it will become sticky and tacky again. So, what you only use Mod Podge? What did you say? Clear coat spray. What spray did you use? That is very important. And I don't know, I haven't worked with Mod Podge in a long time. I know that I tried it just once and I was like, no. But I don't remember it. Does it need to be baked? Are you sure it needs to be baked? You say that you use a clear coat spray. Your best bet, don't spend money on Mod Podge, don't spend money on crap. Just go to Lowe's and get Mean Wax, water-based Mean Wax. That's your best bet. Mod Podge is crap. Your best bet is Mean Wax. You don't have to bake it at all. So why bother with anything else? If you want something to bake on, and if you want something that goes on around, what kind of clear coat for paint? That is very important. There are a lot of clear coats for paint. Even Krylon has several kinds of clear coats for paint, but not all are good for a polymer clay. So don't use what's not supposed to be used. Just go ahead and use Mean Wax. It's your cheapest bet. It's the thing that works the best. You cannot bake it after you apply it. So if you need to coat something and then bake some other pieces on it, then just use liquid clay. And you can use a Kato PolyClay, liquid PolyClay. That looks exactly, once it's properly done, it looks exactly like a resin. Yeah, as I just said, Zenta, there are several Krylon paint coatings. So unless you have the proper one, and even that one doesn't work that good, you have to think that, especially if you put first Krylon and then Mod Podge, they interact. And Mod Podge is not for coating. It's horrible for coating. Don't use that. Okay. Let me see what's on here. Okay, Colleen asked a question, but I didn't understand it, and she didn't get more precise. I asked her what exactly she meant. But now let's go canes. Number one, what kind of clay you're using, and the temperature of your, I usually just use the heat gun, but if you're not good to, hi Jennifer, if you're not very good to and very fast with the heat gun, you can first bake and then just clear it up with the heat gun. So what was I saying? Canes. Number one, it's very important what kind of clay you have and what's your hand's temperature. Some people asked about canes, like cane that is not distorted or muddy when I get it reduced. Tialisa image canes, reducing them. And again, sometimes it ends up muddy from overworking it. So, number one, make sure that your hands are not too hot for the cane. If you see it starts getting too soft, put it in the fridge. Now what Yalisa said, that the what did you say, that the center stays the same size but the surrounding image warps even when I use the caps. Okay, let's go back to basics. When you start making the cane, all the clays have to be on the same level. Number one, if you must use two different brands of clay in the same cane, try to bring them more to the same level by mixing some translucent in each of the colors. Translucent has to be of one type of clay, so you need to bring them a little bit, yeah, oil based, no, you need the water based. All your clay has to be conditioned the same. If one will be not conditioned as much as the other one, you might have to soften one clay, or you might have to leach for 10-15 minutes another clay, but make sure that all your clays are conditioned the same. Because if you will have a clay conditioned more on the sides, then the sides will start distorting while the center is going to keep the image. Another thing is, as I said, the cane warming up. Most of the time you will have, depending on how you reduce, for most people they will have the edges coming out and the center staying inside, because If you don't know exactly how to move the cane, you will have the center of the cane not moved enough. But what happens here? Polymer clay is a plastisol. What does that mean? That means that it's one of those materials that the moment it starts being manipulated, it becomes soft, but when you leave it alone, it hardens. That is, think of ketchup, okay? If you want to pour ketchup from a bottle, squeezing doesn't really work. What you need to do is to shake it, and then it's going to start flowing. So if you don't actually move enough the center of the cane, it's not going to move properly. And when I'm talking moving, let me show you. I don't know if you noticed when in the few tutorials where I am showing how I'm reducing a cane, you will see me a lot of times doing this. What does this do? It actually takes care of the inside of the cane. Not really, honestly. You may try to cover them with resin, but why use expensive resin? You know, just consider it a lesson, Zenta. Don't use Mod Podge anymore. I mean, honestly, I don't know. There are some things that should be clearly labeled that it's for children's use, and I don't even know why they are for children's use, because children, if the stuff they've been working on gets broken, they start crying. So now, if your hands are too soft, too hot for the clay that you're using, that is when the clay on the edges is going to start to get distorted, because you're going to move and heat up and warm up the clay more than you're doing on the center. So usually with me, most of the time when I reduce a cane, it will happen backwards. I will have the edges staying behind and the center coming out. Another thing that helps, number one, be very careful when you're using the, hold on, give me just a minute because I have a dog here and I cannot reach. When you're using the square pairs, be very careful when you turn the cane. Be very careful to have the pressure applied identical by both hands, because everybody is going to have one hand stronger than the other. That's 99.99% of people. So again, if you watched me reducing a cane, you'll notice that I do this, then very careful here when you turn it. Don't hurry, because I've seen people, hurrying to do this, and they don't realize that the cane did not fully turn it. There's still like 1 millimeter on one side, because sometimes it sticks to the tile, and then when they keep doing this, it doesn't turn fully, so the clay starts distorting on the edges. And if you notice, if you look in the videos where I show how I'm reducing canes with the square pairs, you'll notice that I do this, but from time to time I will take the cane and I would flip it over, because I know my right hand is way stronger than my left hand. It's like my left hand is like 70% the strength of my right hand. So every time I do this, I would first of all make sure, this is why you see me doing this, holding like this and then pressing, because with these fingers, even if I do it much faster than this, but now I'm slowing down to show you what happens when I roll it. First I roll it like this, and then with these fingers I make sure that it is flat, that this part reached completely the tile, so it will not get distorted. So when you do this, remove this, and then you don't remove this yet, just pull the cane away, and then make sure with these fingers that this side down here is well attached to the tile, and then do this again. So pull it away, and then with these fingers, with the tip of your fingers here on this edge, make sure that it is the bottom part is attached to the tile. Otherwise you'll get a little bit of it will start distorting. With the round canes, what you have to be very careful about, let me show you what happens with the round canes, and this is why I reduce them in a specific way. Normally with the round canes, let me get it flattened. With the round canes, generally you go like this, press, and then turn it around and press again. There's a trick here. You need to lift it before you turn. You need to lift it from the tile. So press, lift, turn when you're in the air, put it back on the tile, press, lift, turn when you're in the air, put it down. It's going to take you a little bit of practice to do this, because otherwise what happens, if you by mistake start turning when it's still attached to the tile, it's going to start spiraling like this. This is why it's super important. Do this, lift, turn, put down, press again, lift, turn, put down, press, lift, turn, put down. That is the trick to make your edges not start distorting. It's very important. Another important thing, I forgot to talk about it. Another important thing, most of the time, whenever you have edges on a cane, your edges will have the tendency to stay behind. That's why from time to time, and I'm not talking about when you're using the square pairs, but when you're doing general. So let's go in a triangle. Let's go in a triangle. And to show you better this thing, let me grab a piece of clay to wrap it. Okay. Let's wrap this. Let me make sure that it is perfectly triangular. Hey. So if I start reducing this, and I said several times, but if you haven't seen or heard any of those tutorials where I said, when you reduce a triangle, never press on the sides, because if you press on the sides, it's going to start getting concave. You always press on this edge, on the top, you press down. See my fingerprints where I pressed? I only press here, and I press down here. Then you turn and you do the same thing, pressing only here. You don't press at all from the middle down. But after a while you will notice that what happens is that the edges will start staying behind. The rest of the cane comes out and the edges stay behind. See? So what you need to do from time to time, you simply get the edges and pull. Pull on the edge. It's fine. Pull on the edge. And it's just fine. Another thing that I've never seen anybody talking about it, when you are reducing, I mean, this part, yes, I've seen people mentioning it. If you place the end of the cane against the tile, so let's say that if I would do my triangular cane, after a while the middle starts coming out, what you do, and you can actually push it back in. Do this, you know, but flip it, keep it against the tile, and then flip it again against the tile and flip it, and that way it will not, the middle or the edges will not start coming out at all. You can practically, you've seen me reducing triangles, leaves, teardrops, diamonds, I don't know, hexagons, but this is how you can go with super tiny canes reduced to what I call micro caning. Now there's another thing. The talk about they get muddy when they get too small. That's a matter of constructing the cane. And again, I talked about this in several cane tutorials. If you want to have any kind of line in your cane appearing when it's very small, do not use lines. I know it sounds counterproductive and counter everything, but what happens as you reduce the cane, that line disappears, it gets mixed with the other colors. What you need to do when you intend to reduce a cane to very, very small, make a Skinner blend. Let's say that you want something that will have black and white lines. Make actually a Skinner blend of black and white, only that instead of reducing it with one end, in length, you make it flat so that one side like this will be black, one side like this will be white. And construct, cut it and then put black, white, kind of mirror it, so that you'll have a little bit of a Skinner blendy line there. Bonjour Nelly. So that when you start reducing, there will not be just that fine line, but the continuing color a little bit in the Skinner blend will make that line to stand out. Let me see if I can find any miniature canes here. If I can get past whisper. Just a minute. I think that they are in the box. Because as I'm preparing these stashes and all that, okay, I found some. Alrighty, I found some. Whisper, move. 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 I'm not going to go obstacle jumping now. Oh. He just sat himself right where I have to get off the chair, so to make sure that I'm not going to leave the house without him noticing. Okay. To give you some examples. See, all these are made with Skinner blends. They are not made with lines. So you see the size of this one. Look at the size of this one. Can you see what this one actually is? It's this one reduced, and each quarter of this is the cane. Hold on, let me get it refocused. See? And none of the lines is lost. But if you look carefully here, there is no pure line. Everything is in Skinner blend. Let me try and find another one. Let's see, these ones are smaller. I have somewhere the 1/4 of an inch canes. But if you look at these, none of them is actually a line. Everything is pretty much a Skinner blend. And these are old canes. Cane that I made on, I don't know, 3 years ago. Okay, this is another, this one is a hexagon. But again, there is no, let me see if it's the same as this. No, it's not the same. Beginner triangle. So, as I was saying, neither of these has just a pure line. Everything is a Skinner blend. Everything starts with Skinner blends, and this is at the edges. So whenever you try to, I already showed you this, whenever you try to make a cane that you foresee that you'll have to reduce to micro level, do not use lines. Use Skinner blends instead of lines. Yeah, I have a ton of canes, and I think that right now there's only one still left for sale in the store. Everything else is sold. But I will put some soon. If you ever want. Oh, if I went. Oh, I have like a drawer full of canes. And I have some, I'm preparing some because I want to have them already reduced to 1 centimeter. So that, because remember the way of covering a pen perfectly, so there would be, everything would fit perfectly. And I want to have a few already reduced to 1 centimeter. So if you want to use them for canes, you don't have to. And this is one that I've been trying to get, and I didn't manage to make it properly yet. Let me see. I'm still working on it. This is for a sponsor tutorial. Here. And I need to use some other colors. No, I have a drawer, and then I have some boxes too. So that would be hard to find all of them. Okay, let me see. Then the question was, Ideas of what to make with veneers. Well, you can make a ton of things, and I know that you're expecting for me to give you ideas. What you can make with veneers: you can make necklaces, you can make bracelets, you can make beads. Let me actually find something. Because I had a video a while ago where I show both how to make the I have actually two lives. One of them is this one. That's a little bit older. That is with beading and caning and beading for fun. And I showed there how to make certain types of shapes of beads and how to cover beads with veneers and all that. Then I did this was more recent, this was in last December, because the previous one was in 2017, this was in 2018. And I show you how to make beads. And not only. Hi, Eileen. And then there was in one of the projects where I did I made a cane, and then I did two projects with it, and with a reminder I made a kind of fake faux rhodochrosite. So here also I show how to use veneers. The other thing that you can make with veneers is boxes. You can make buttons. What else can you make? You can make put them over doorknobs or cabinet knobs. Hi, Janice. You can put them on pins. You can put them on handles of silverware. If you look around, you can put them on light switch plates, and I did that. I have a light switch plate or two with veneers. Practically anything that can be covered, you can use veneers, because veneers is such a wide term. You can make veneers with cane slices, you can make veneers with mokumegane, you can make veneers with mica shift, you can make veneers with, so anything that can be covered with anything is a veneer. For wood grain, yeah, you can make cabochons, you can make jars, everything. It's not like you lack what to cover. Okay, finding current styles of jewelry to make. Now, this is a little bit iffy, because, and I explained several times before, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make jewelry to sell to a local venue, if you're Hi Cecile, it's okay, you can watch it from behind. If you're trying to, not from behind, from the start, you can, if you are making stuff to sell online, what segment of population you're addressing your pieces to. Obviously you cannot go on stuff like Vogue and things, because we don't have that kind of customers, people who can afford to pay $10,000 on a piece of jewelry are not going to buy polymer clay unless it's made by Jeff Dever. But one, you can get the flow and the idea of what's working simply by going into stores, into regular stores. You can go to Walmart, you can go, JCPenney, you can go to Higher and see what is up there. Another thing to making a little bit more upscale jewelry, look at the website of Neiman Marcus. Now, I'm not saying copy stuff from there, but figure out, well, I see that they are showing a lot of feathers. Or, because for example, on one of the things that's now hide on, that's now for like the third season in a row that it's still in fashion, are seashells of all kinds. But we had, like last year for spring, there was all kinds of nature, flowers, birds, butterflies. And I gave before some links to jewelry trends. But your best bet is just simply, search on Google jewelry trends, fall, winter. Now, what we have, as I said, don't go necessarily to Vogue, but go to lower things. So right now, for fall, winter, we have pearls, we have cameos, all kinds of DIY, fairly cheapo looking in my opinion, all kinds of jewelry made with yarn, made with fabric, made with paper clips. Then chains, big chains, huge chains, safety pins, long earrings, again, chains, big earrings, see-through materials, glass and lucite, and not just jewelry but also bags, and not just hoop earrings but sculptural rings and bangles. So you can work resin a lot and you can work translucent a lot. The ankle bracelets are making a comeback. Irregular cabochons. There's a beautiful Gucci bib necklace that's just plain gold with little cabochons that are all kinds of colors and they are all kinds of irregular. Let's see. Then Harper's Bazaar talks about the same thing. Big, long earrings, chains, pearls. Now, why it is very important to figure out where you're looking. Yes, that too. Think which is your segment of the market where your customers are in, because might be the trend of long and supersized earrings, but if your customer niche is 50 years and over ladies, there are not many. Actually, the body jewelry is coming back, Zenta, so belly chains will be too. So if your most of your clients are high lane, are over 50, I kind of doubt many over 50 years old are going to wear big earrings or long earrings or, But as I said, you need to always establish your... PC chains. You know who was the pioneer in that. Let me try and I think which of them did it the first. Nan Roche, and she's one of the first. Let me see if I can find any chains by her. And not Nan Roche. Okay. She's an expert in that. I'm trying to find something that I can put the link to. Okay, here we go to an archive. Let me see now. This is Tori Hughes. Let me try and find here. And especially now with the new clays coming out, like like the cast clay, definitely will be possible to make even thinner and thinner chains. Oh, this is Tori Hughes. Tori Hughes made some chains too. But there are quite a bit of artists who do chains. I wouldn't be the first. It's not that hard, really. It's just very time consuming. Because you need to bake them in a certain way. You need to insert paper so they wouldn't get stuck. Bye, Kelly. Yes, so that's why you have to be very careful what is your main because also if you go to venues, the clientele from each venue is different, so you need to figure out for each of the venues you'll have to make a different kind of jewelry or pieces and stuff like that. Hold on, let me find. Okay, I have an article on my blog that might help you. Rings, not so much in elderly people. Oh, pins. Brooches sell with elderly people. So if you go and read this article I read on my blog, it tells you, it gives you a few pointers. But generally speaking, simply do a Google search and you'll figure out. Don't go for, as I said, don't go for Vogue and for the Gucci and Chanel and stuff. But if you want to make a little bit more classy stuff, go to, let me see. As I said, you can get a lot of ideas. And as I said, we cannot do silver and gold and stuff. Let me see if it lets me. Okay, if you go look, you can see there's quite a bit of stuff that we can translate into polymer clay. And as I said, you don't have to make exact replicas, but you can get the idea that, yeah, there are pearls, there are supersized chains, There's a lot of translucent stuff, and as you go looking, there's a lot of rhinestones, Swarovski, and it gives you a lot of pointers on what you can do, you know. So let me see if there's anything else. Let me reload this. Yeah, no, so this would be for now, and I'm starting to run a bit out of time. So remember to join the group. Let me post again the link, because having everything there in one spot, it's much easier for me to not overlook. Because right now I'm going in my email, I go on the messages on the Facebook page, I go on the messages on the community here in YouTube, then I get private messages. So if you go in that group and I have everything, you know, kind of focused in one place, it's much easier that I don't overlook something, you know. So yeah, I'm going because I have to go do a little bit of grocery shopping, and I need to put the cold patch on my shoulder before I do that. But tomorrow I will see you. Awesome, Angela. And you can look also at Anna's Celebrate Creations channel, because she's exactly a beader who started polymer clay after a while because she wanted to make more, and she was looking for certain cabs that she couldn't find, and that's how she started also with the 4 gemstones. That what happened to me too. I cannot do beading anymore because of my hands. I cannot really pinch and hold pinched for a long time, unfortunately. So I will see you tomorrow when we put together the sugar skull. So thank you so much for being here, and see you tomorrow. Happy claying.